Good evening. I've come off the very busy Belfast to Bangor dual carriageway, and I've taken the slip road into Holywood, and I'm going to do a wee bit of a walkthrough of Holywood. Here's all its accolades here. Historical gem of the Lough and home of Rory McIlroy. Got Palace Barracks up to the right. Big army base. Well, it's not very big now, it's sort of scaled back. And you've got Redburn Country Park up to the right. Now I've done videos in it. Redburn Cemetery and Holywood Golf Club up to the right as well. And Rory McIlroy would actually say, refer to Holywood Golf Club as his home golf club still. And he has been around the world a few times. We're 5 miles from Belfast, and we're on the shores of Belfast Lough, overlooking Belfast Lough. The sea is out to my left here, but obviously you can't see it because there's houses here. And I'm just approaching Sullivan Upper School, grammar school. On the right hand side, very popular grammar school. And referring to Rory McIlroy, you'd think nobody else lived here, but I have to refer to the guy. He's good. So he went to this school. I'm not quite sure why it's called Sullivan Upper School. I don't think there is a junior school. I'm not absolutely sure. Extensive grounds up in there. Gets a very good name. Mixed, female, male. And coming around to the left, we have Holywood Rugby Club. And it's training night tonight. Big apartment block on the left hand side. A lot of new builds in Holywood. A very desirable place to live, and slightly more expensive than, you know, your normal small town. At least that's what I would say. And I have done a series of videos on Holywood, but I've never done a walkthrough before. And I think this is Holywood Gaelic Club. Passing Spayfield, playing fields, car park. Now I've just parked the car in there. A lot of old houses in here. A lot of history about the place still. Nice wee tulip display there. And I think this is, this is Milady's Mile Road, and it's quite famous. And this is the big Catholic church. The spire has been retained, but there's a a new girls are making me laugh here. The old spire's still here, but there's a new church building. And I found out the name of this church. It's St Columkills. So we've got the relatively new builds over on the left here, and we've got the old terrace. Looks what, Edwardian, I would imagine so. So we're coming to the start of the town, really. You know, there's football pitch down in there too. Holywood would have been known as a very affluent town. But unfortunately, just due to this COVID thing, a lot of the shops, well, they'll not survive. Indian Ocean restaurant. So there's the sea out there. That's Belfast Lough. Right, wee bit of history for you. Holywood was given this name. It was named by the Normans back in the 1100s, and it was named after the holy wood that surrounded the monastery of St Luirsen, and that's why it's called Holywood. There's the police station up to the left, and I don't want to train the camera on it too long because I might get into trouble. There's the Bay Tree restaurant, been in it many times. Wee old-fashioned bookshop in there too. New builds all up on the left. A few wee lads there showing off. Christian Fellowship Church. One of the newer types of church. The Yard Gallery and Coffee Yard. So Holywood would have quite a number of art galleries and such. And there's the Edge as well. So what was I saying there? Oh yes. Holywood named after the holy wood that surrounded the monastery of St Luirsen, which was founded in 640, and it's founded on the site of the present Holywood Priory, which is still a graveyard, and it's still got the spire, but you know, it's not in use. Now here's one of these fancy living sculptures. I've heard about this, and this looks like a boat. Is it a boat? It's not. It's the golfer sculpture. Grass is expressing the direction and movement of a golfer's arm through the swing. The point of contact when the club strikes the ball is represented through a burst of planting, demonstrating the force of golf swing. And it's talking about Holywood's golfing history. It's not good. And this is the borough of living sculpture. Designed by Irish landscaper Aaron Rarden, who took part in Netflix series The Big Flower Fight. There you go, isn't that good? This is Holywood Old Library. In fact, Holywood Library. And I have done videos on the on this, so I'll not really talk too much. I think it might have been Charles Lanyon. So we're looking down. Not too sure the name of this street. Trying to find a name. We're looking down at Belfast Lough, and I've done walking videos along towards Sea Park there. Barber shops now open again, restaurants not. And some of the barbers are working late tonight. An awful lot of the shops are lying idle, empty, and that's understandable. And that's Gray's Lane across the street. One of the entries, and this is Patton's Lane. And there's Morelli's, a favourite spot of ours for ice cream. And we're moving on up to Little Wing Pizzeria. I think they're doing carry-outs. And we're coming to High Street Presbyterian Church. Traditional church building. The doors are slightly changed, but there you go. And compare Holywood Presbyterian to the church that you're about to see here. This is Holywood non-conforming Presbyterian Church, and this church has been nicknamed the Ice Cream Cake. And I think it was also built by architect Charles Lanyon, and there's the details about the church there. I have already done a video on this, so I'm not going to spend any time on it. A lot of charity shops have taken over in Holywood. A lot of charity shops have taken over everywhere. And this lockdown, these series of lockdowns has really wrecked retail in Northern Ireland. There's another empty shop. There's one of the fashion shops. White Bicycle. Not an interesting name. I'm coming up to the Maypole. This black piece of steel in the centre of the road holds the base of the Maypole, and it's put in place for May Day celebrations. This is Shore Road, and I have videoed down in there. And this, I'm walking along High Street now. And where you see the white apartment away in the, well, not away in the distance, but just down there, was the Prairie Inn. Very old watering hole restaurant, but long gone. So Holywood has had a long existence. It really was formed around the monastery, the Priory, which we'll walk towards down the road here. We play park there with is that a new library? I'm not sure. That's a surgery, silly me. Dear. We play park, and we're coming to a notice board. We bit about the history of Holywood. Only surviving Maypole in Ireland. It's been in situ since 1620. Presently the focus of the town's May Day celebrations. Aye, there's that. About the monastery. Henry VIII dissolved the priory in 1541, and its lands were passed into the hands of the O'Neill family and then to Sir James Hamilton, 1st Viscount Clandeboy. Hamilton laid out the town with the Maypole at the crossroads and most early buildings clustered around the priory. And that O'Neill family is referring to Con O'Neill, and I have done several videos on him. And there's the way the dancers were dressed up in 1949. And this old library that we walked past was a school at one stage, and there's the dancers round the Maypole, and there's Holywood Priory. So wee bit of interesting stuff there. I'm just looking for Johnny the Jig, because it was sculpture done and presented to the town by Rosamond Prager, and he's wearing a mask, would you believe? Oh dear, keeping himself safe. And I'm afraid this is sort of Rosamond Prager, 1867 to 1954, sculptress, illustrator, writer who loved children. Johnny the Jig. And that's the underpass onto the railway down onto the coast. And this is the priory round the corner, but Holywood didn't really thrive. You know, it sort of was quite a dormant place right up until there's old houses up there, right up until the 1800s. And then the population started to grow, and this was because it became known, along with an awful lot of other coastal villages, as a great bathing spot. And people would come, well, you know, you wouldn't really call it commute from the city in those days, but they travelled by coach to Holywood and partook of the waters. And there's the priory. And I'll take you a wee peek in over the wall here. But I have done videos of this priory before. I'm looking here, and this is old Holywood, and this is a fascinating area of Holywood. We've got the Twizzle Bridge and all the rest of it up in here, and there's various old walkways But I'm not going to go up there tonight. I've videoed all of that before. That's Victoria Road, and this is the Bangor Road, and this is Holywood. I think this is another Presbyterian church, I do believe. Love the above the door here. Now, this is First Holywood Presbyterian. Look at that. That's really classy. Yeah, this is the graveyard of Holywood Priory. No roof on most of the church, unfortunately. And the Praggers are buried in here. That was Rosamond and her brother. And the Dunvilles. One of the Dunvilles won a VC in the First World War. So Rosamond Pragger and her brother, I think it was Robert. Yeah, he was a renowned botanist, and they're buried in here. So, what else can I tell you about Holywood? Sullivan Upper was named after renowned educational reformer Robert Sullivan, Dr. Robert Sullivan. We also have got from Holywood. Jamie Dornan, the actor, I think he starred in 1 or 2 movies of late. David Jeffrey, he was Linfield football manager, and he was a player. He was a good player in his time, and I think he does he manage Ballymena now? I'm not too sure. We've got Stephen Martin, Ireland hockey player. We've got Michael Smiley, actor and comedian. And he's a brave good cyclist, as far as I remember as well. Roland Friars lived up in there. And we've got Dermot Murnigan, BBC or ITV newsman. You might remember him if you're long in the tooth like me. So this is Holywood. Very, very popular residential area. Would be seen as being quite affluent and well-to-do. Quite prestigious place to live. A bit like Hillsborough. Look at that. The Twizzle River Studios. And there's a plaque actually to Robert Sullivan. Born in a cottage on this site. Don't know whether he's buried in Priory Graveyard or not. So I'm heading back to the middle of the town. I've just come round to Church Road, and there's a parish church that's worth going to see on up here. Not sure whether I've done any videos of it. You follow me. What did I leave out? Well, I left out that Holywood really came into its own from the mid-1840s, well, 1848 to be precise, whenever it was linked up to Belfast by the trains. There's the Maypole bar, and it became, accessible to the people of Belfast as a retreat from industrial Belfast, and an awful lot of affluent merchants bought houses down here and built houses. So we're talking about people like the Kennedys of WalkThrough, the Harrisons of Holywood, and people like that. And then of course there was the Dunvilles living close by as well. Population of Holywood 1900 was 3,500. Population of Holywood today, well, 2001, 12,000. So its population is growing all the time. Holywood Bypass helped things on, of course. Holywood Bypass that I have come along was built in the 1970s. It was a good place to come and shop, but really now it's dominated by empty shops and charity shops. And as I say, retail has died a death in Northern Ireland, in most Northern Ireland towns, because of this COVID thing, the COVID lockdowns. And that's a shame, absolute shame. And Amazon are sweeping the decks, and they were able to work right over this lockdown period, and all the retail shops had to shut. So they were making hay while the sun shone, and the small shops all died. So walking out of Holywood once again. There's Hannah's Florists. And I think I'll just stop here at Church Road. This is a great wee bookshop, if it's still operating. It's a charity bookshop. It's Concern Worldwide Books. So they raise money for Concern. It's one of the best charity bookshops that I've ever been into, but like everywhere else, it's closed. And there's Henry Gilmore's, another art gallery. So that's my wee walk round of Holywood, almost done. And this is one of my favourite shops in Holywood. This is Holywood Interiors and Antiques. I love browsing at shops like this. Unfortunately, they're getting fewer and far between. Hard to come by a shop like this anymore. I'll just finish with this wee bit of sort of commercial street art. This is Gary's barber shop, and this is what he's got on his shutters. If you need a haircut, come down and get one here. Super duper.